We're Scott and Christine. If you're watching this, you've probably already opened an insurance claim after a house fire.
And you're likely more than a day or two out from the fire now.
This video is about dealing with insurance around housing after a fire. What matters early, what doesn't, and how to start making decisions that help you get more comfortable. By this point, the initial shock has usually worn off a little, and that's often when the pressure to make decisions really kicks in. After our first house fire, we still felt frozen, but we also felt like we were supposed to start moving forward. The second time, we understood that this was a transition phase. You're not in emergency mode anymore, but you're not settled yet either. What most people don't realize is that insurance housing is not take it or leave it. The first options you're offered are often based on speed and availability, not what actually fits your life.
You can ask questions, you can say no, and you can bring your own housing options forward. That doesn't make you a difficult person. It means you're advocating for your family and your needs. One of the most important things to think about is continuity. School for your kids, work for you, your community. If staying near school or work matters, that's a legitimate need. And if that need means needing more space than what's initially offered by the insurance company, it's okay to say that. Housing after fire isn't just about having a place to sleep. It's about being able to live your life the way it was while everything else in it is unsettled right now. You're allowed to search for housing on your own. And many people don't realize that. You can bring places you find back to the housing coordinator and work with them on acquiring those places. One thing to know is that insurance typically won't pay for Airbnb stays, especially for longer term.
Yeah, but that doesn't always mean those homes are off the table. Scott managed this really well after the second fire. He got us an amazing place.
So the first real part of the policy that you need to start understanding now is what is called loss of use coverage. It's also called additional living expenses or coverage D, depending on your homeowner's policy, who it's with, what company, and what type of policy it is. This is meant to cover temporary housing and some increased living expenses while you're out of your home and the home is getting repaired. This will cover hotels, short-term rentals, and whether you can also stay with family and friends. That gets a little more complicated on what you can charge for and what the insurance company will accept. Now, this is one part of our policy that was very different from the first fire to the second fire. The first fire, we were very fortunate. Our policy did not have a cap on additional living expenses. So what that meant was we could find a reasonable accommodation that was comparable to our home, and it gave us many more options regardless of the length of time it would take. If there's a cap, like there was in our second policy, when you leave the home and you're staying in a place, you need to account for what that cap is, because you need to be able to stay at that place if it's $5,000 a month until your repairs are done. So if you have a cap of $50,000 and you only need to stay in it for 6 months at $5,000 a month, that's $30,000, so it's not a big deal. Now, if it's a cap of $50,000 and you need to stay in that temporary housing for 12 months and you end up at $60,000, that additional expenses start becoming your responsibility. So you need to take that into account when you first start looking and understand your policy and talk to your claims contacts at your insurance company to understand this so you can implement it. And they will help you, but their job is also to limit the costs to the insurance company. So you still have to advocate for yourself while you're going through this process. Another thing that they will also pay for is some additional living expenses. And that would include pet boarding if necessary, or if you choose to stay in a hotel that doesn't have kitchen facilities, you will get a per diem to eat out. So for a shorter term, maybe a month, you choose to stay in a hotel and take that daily stipend for your food. Again, throughout this process, it's very important to keep your receipts, whether you think you'll need them or not, because you never know when the insurance company will ask for them to support your reimbursement claims.
In some cases, including ours, the owners were willing to convert short-term leases into a standard lease for us. It lowered the cost more than $2,000 a month. Insurance doesn't want to pay the platform fees from Airbnb or their service fees.
Yeah, we also found that furnished housing is often easier to find in tourist-oriented areas, beach communities, downtown areas, walkable neighborhoods, and it's okay if that appeals to you. When housing options don't meet your needs, it can start to feel combative or like somebody's been difficult. It helps to remember that housing coordinators are often not local. They may not live in your town or even your state. They don't know your schools, they don't know your commute or your community. They're usually offering options they think will work based on limited information. Being angry or combative is rarely helpful.
Yeah, it's usually not necessary to be angry about this. You need to communicate your needs and help them understand what you need in your home. If you need a home office, you need a home office. If you need 3 bedrooms, you need 3 bedrooms. If you need a place that's pet friendly, that's another thing you need to tell them. One thing you really want to mention is lease length. Fire repairs almost always take longer than expected. So if you're signing a lease, 3 months, 5 months, or whatever, make sure you communicate about possible extensions. If possible, ask for the option to extend before it's re-rented.
That single conversation can prevent a lot of stress later. One part of housing we did not think about enough at first was our pets. Pets are already stressed and disoriented after a fire. New smells, new sounds, new doors and windows.
We learned this the hard way. Both times we had pets escape from the house and go missing for a while. So in choosing housing, think beyond whether pets are allowed. Think about containment, and a place that works for you might not necessarily be safe for them.
At this point, usually after 48 hours, it's okay to start thinking about comfort. You're not rushing the process by doing that. You may need clothing, daily use items, or familiar tools.
And while insurance will reimburse your purchases, you don't have to replace everything all at once. For us, it helped to bring a few familiar items that weren't smoke damaged and could be easily cleaned. Things that made daily life easier: simple kitchen tools, a paring knife, a garlic press, cast iron pan, a blender or crock pot that you use regularly.
If you have kids, maybe the items you used every day to make routines easier. These small familiar things can make a new place feel less overwhelming and reduce the pressure to buy everything new right away.
It's also okay to start in temporary housing. You don't have to land in the perfect place for long term. Some people move a few times before settling, and that's normal. Just remember, you may be there for many months, so it should be a place that works for you and your family. This part of the process can feel really challenging. There are a lot of decisions layered on top of your stress. It's okay to slow down. You don't need to get everything right. You just need to take the next helpful step. We're not experts. We're not selling anything. We're just sharing what we learned through our process of dealing with 2 house fires.
If this helped, you're welcome to subscribe. In the next video, we'll talk about what happens to your belongings after a fire, storage, inventory, and what to expect.